KSI's music career is effectively over, and it's always been one that's kind of intrigued me. Even though he's dropped a song that did 100 million streams last year, I feel like his time being taken as a serious artist is effectively over. And a lot of you might be thinking, well, how could you think KSI was ever a serious artist? And I'm gonna go into this video about sort of the downfall of his music career, you could say. That might sound a bit harsh, and this isn't me coming for his character or him as a person. In fact, I find it pretty hard if you're someone from the UK who makes videos, who makes content, to not get inspired by this guy even a little. I think you're probably lying. But when it comes to music, he's had a pretty interesting journey, sort of a roller coaster journey, that around 2020 looked like they were all-time highs. He was doing numbers that even the biggest UK rappers in the country weren't doing, and people probably thought, what the fuck is going on? Like, he was doing tours across the country, he was getting booked at the biggest festivals in the country. Come to 2024-25, he's essentially become a bit of a laughing stock in the music industry, and the only real gigs he's getting booked for are these huge capital summertime balls, which is basically just like a family event. So what actually caused this downfall? Well, the best place to go is right back to the start, and the actual start is when he was making revision raps for his science exams back when he was at school.
About the temperature, I want it needs to be. Just wait and see.
Then as he made more and more videos on YouTube, he'd make these parody songs, the occasional diss track. It was always pretty blatant to see that KSI was actually a fan of music. He was actually had a passion for music. Then in 2015, he dropped his first like official song, you could say, Lamborghini. This song to this day is still like pretty culturally relevant. A lot of people would even call it their favorite KSI song maybe. And it had a full professional video. It was an actual track that was actually going to be put on Spotify and Apple Music and shit. And it actually featured a real rapper, P Money. Now, P Money isn't just some nobody in the UK. P Money is, in my opinion, one of the best MCs in the country. Genuinely, if you're talking top 5 MCs in the country, P Money is up there. This guy can rap. This guy can seriously rap, so the fact that KSI got a feature off him is a pretty big deal. Then in 2016, he dropped his first EP, the Keep Up EP. At this point, he's still sort of a YouTuber, the rap shit's sort of on the side. But still, he was getting taken a bit more seriously. I mean, if you look at some of the names on this EP, you're talking about guys who are seriously big in the UK rap scene. Serious UK rappers, JME, Tiggs the Author, Luna C, Sway, Young's Teflon. And then carrying on in 2016, he had a few other songs like Friends with Benefits, and a song called Touchdown, which ended up being in the final movie for Baywatch. Yes, Baywatch, the massive Hollywood film. KSI had a song in that shit, and at this point he's still basically a YouTuber who's making music on the side. And between 2016 and 17, who really knows what went on? This is when he left the side, man. I feel like if you're anywhere between maybe 18 and 25 especially, you'll remember that period. But a lot of the reason for that he was taking a step back from YouTube is so he could take music more seriously. And then he came back with this song Creature, which I don't think people actually even really remember the song Creature. They probably just remember the line Creature was shit. But it was sort of a big change. He was going from this YouTuber who made music, and he wanted to be a musician who also did YouTube. Dropped like a couple more EPs. He was dropping the diss tracks and whatnot. I won't go through every song because we'll literally be here all day, but the one song that again was a big moving point, I think, in his music career was Uncontrollable. This is a tune again which he dropped with an MC in the UK, Big Zoo. It was like his walkout song for his first fight against Joe Weller. This was like a trap sound where he had like auto-tune on his voice. And I don't care what you say, bro, just because it's KSI doesn't mean the song can't be good. Uncontrollable is a banger, right? I am not afraid to say it. This song is a hit. I'd go as far to say it's probably in his top 3 best ever songs. Fast forward to 2019, he drops another EP, New Age, with Randolph. And again, this project was fucking successful, bro. Songs like Pull Up and Beerus, he's actually rapping. Like, he is actually rapping on that shit. I'm not saying it's like the most mind-blowing rap I've ever heard, the most crazy lyrics I've ever heard. But for a YouTuber of this size to be making music and actually rapping, you could see the improvement from his early music. And of course, I know they did a full tour and stuff like that. Probably a lot of the fans who went to the tour were probably fans of KSI before, but still, I mean, you're talking over 100 million streams on this 10-song EP. And I think 2019 was probably one of the biggest turning points in his whole music career, because this is when he was getting taken more as a serious artist, and artists were actually willing to collaborate with him. Before, I know you had these names in music, but they weren't like big songs. A lot of the songs were just on an EP. You had Big Zoo, but Big Zoo, I like Big Zoo, but he's not one of the biggest UK rappers in the country. Come to 2019, he's dropping songs with Rick Ross, Lil Baby, and a lot of those songs ended up being on his first album in 2020, Dissimulation. And you can see the numbers here. This album was fucking successful. He had a really clever marketing point that if it could hit number 1, he was going to shave his head. I'm pretty sure the album got to number 2 in the UK. But you had even more names of serious artists on here. You had Jeremiah, Offset from the Migos. And the album was actually pretty listenable. Like, it had a lot of different sounds. There's some stinker songs on there, but there's actually some good ones. Some of the songs he was actually getting into his feels. The last song on the album, Millions, he's talking about like what's going on in his mind, like talking about his family, his relationship and shit, showing that it was a massive change from the guy who made Lamborghini 5 years ago. Now, when this album dropped, I remember thinking that holy shit, KSI could actually potentially become one of the biggest artists in the UK. Not even just in rap, but he was making pop tunes, he was making rap tunes, he was making basically everything. And he had all the tools, clearly had the connection or the label who were getting him these features off these artists. He had the budget to put behind it for these music videos, and the production of the album was like solid. Obviously, because it's KSI, he's got the money to be getting these engineers to be mixing and mastering the album so it's sounding crisp. And it did. And he was primarily a rapper from the UK. So when you put him in the pool of UK rappers and you looked at the numbers, this guy was at least in the top 10, maybe even higher. And then his next tune went on to be even more successful, Lighter with Nathan Dorr. Nathan Dorr, really successful house DJ. And again, people were saying the song's actually good. This song was getting played in shops, this song was getting played in radio. And the best way for me to explain this rise is really to go through his chart positions going through the years. Lamborghini peaking at number 30, obviously being his first song, bound to be successful. But then he continued. Keep Up peaked at 45, Friends with Benefits peaked at number 69, Uncontrollable peaked at number 89, then Down Like That peaked at number 10. You've got a YouTuber in 2019 getting a UK top 10. Like, say what you want about the guys, whether you think he makes good music or not, getting a top 10 single in the UK is no joke. Wake Up Call featuring Trippie Redd peaked at 11, Houdini peaked at number 6, and then Lighter with Nathan Dorr peaked at number 3. You've got this guy who got known for making FIFA videos, and he'd essentially transitioned now into a fucking successful artist. And that's the thing, some of you might be thinking KSI was never a serious artist, he was never a big artist. Yes, he was. He actually genuinely was a seriously big artist in the UK. Like, whether you're a FIFA YouTuber or not, when you're getting a number 3 song on the charts, people will collaborate with you, especially if they don't see your music as corny, which I know a lot of people did. But Lighter, we're talking 130 million streams here. He was playing these songs at like Reading Festival in front of tens of thousands of people, and so his audience had spread. People were listening to his music who didn't know him as a YouTuber. And when you're making that transition from YouTube to music, that's essentially your final goal, is that you want people who don't know you as a YouTuber who are listening to your music. And so by this point, some people may disagree with me, but the numbers don't lie. KSI had become a successful artist. He had become a serious artist. He had made the transition. One of his next songs, Really Love, released at the end of 2020, peaked at number 3 again in the UK charts. Then in January of 2021, only a few months later, Don't Play with Amory and Digital Farm Animals peaked at number 2. March of 2021, Patience featuring Youngblood and Polo G peaked at number 3. And Holiday on the 1st of July 2021 peaked at number 2 again. People who get top 10s in the UK are serious artists who are probably signed to some massive fucking record label that have a lot of money to throw behind them. Getting these high numbers consecutively in the UK is fucking crazy for a YouTuber. I do not care. And so these are the times where people were saying KSI actually makes listenable music. Again, you're happy to have your opinion in the comments, and people will be saying KSI never made good music, but songs like Don't Play with Amory, I was actually spinning back in 2020. Like, if you listen to his verse on that, the melodies and the flow, now I'm looking back at it, these numbers are actually pretty insane. The fact that a UK YouTuber was getting this level of numbers on songs. You can be a successful YouTuber, but bringing that audience across to your music who are getting hundreds of millions of streams, that is not like an easy task to do. You have to be making decent music to some level to achieve those numbers. So to the people that say like, oh, KSI has never been good at music, or he's never dropped a good song, you're just not going to be getting those festival placements or your songs on radio or getting played in shops if you're not making good music to an extent. And so all of this whole build up was leading up to KSI's second album, which dropped in July of 2021, all over the place. And again, like a lot of his other songs, there were huge names featured on the album. Future, 21 Savage, Lil Durk, plus a lot of the songs I just mentioned, they got put on the album as well. and this album went to #1. Not just talking about a YouTuber who was making a little bit of music. People like to think that like, at one point KSI was just like this guy who was making music along with his YouTube videos. No, at one point I thought this guy's gonna sack everything off and become a full-time musician, because when you're getting a #1 album and consecutively getting #2, #3 on the charts, obviously he's got a lot of kids fans, so he was making sort of music suitable for kids and shit as well. And again, there were some good songs on the album, there were some songs that weren't good on the album. No Time with Lil Durk, people would probably call one of his best songs ever. And there were some stinkers, don't get me wrong. I don't know how much he paid fucking Future and 21 Savage, but he managed to get a feature off both of them on a song that was basically about shitting. And as I said, I'm not coming for him personally. I like KSI, I'm a fan of KSI, but I'm talking about his music here, which is why I'll be completely upfront and honest about it, because a lot of people will just clown it because it is KSI, but I don't think you can actually listen to all of those songs on the album and not call at least 3 good. And I genuinely mean that. I've listened to a lot of music. He is a UK rapper. This was a UK rap album. And so end of July, he's just got a #1 album. Usually people take a step back, have a break. And then a month later, you get to August, he announces he's dropping another song featuring Lil Wayne. We're talking about one of the greatest rappers alive here, yeah. I know it sounds like I'm dick riding. This is Lil Wayne we're talking about. Like, one of the arguments people will make about his music or the features he gets is that, oh, KSI has just paid him a bag to get a feature. You don't just get a feature off Lil Wayne if you're a nobody. And the song Lose peaked at number 18 in the UK charts, and again I would probably say is one of his best songs. Like, I remember the first time I listened to that, I was thinking, I can't believe the guy who made Lamborghini made that song. And so when you've got to this point, you've got a guy who's just got a #1 album. He's getting features off Lil Wayne. How could this go wrong? Well, the fact is, it didn't really go wrong, because in August of 2022, he dropped another solid song, Not Over Yet, featuring Tom Grennan. Pretty sure this was another walkout song for a boxing fight. But once again, top 5 in the UK charts, peaking at #4. And I think that was the last time I listened to a KSI song and I didn't cringe. Leading up to that point, I'd seen like a pretty good transition in his music career from making these troll parody songs. And then it's sort of like, okay, well, he dropped this EP, but with his friend, but there was some decent rapping on it. Then you come up the first album, okay, and then he's just got a #1 album and he's got a feature off Lil Wayne. And then since then, that was the last point I sort of saw any brand identity with his music, and I could see that, okay, it started as a FIFA YouTuber down here that just wanted to make music because it was a passion of his, to getting a #1 album and getting a feature off Lil Wayne. Having like sort of a split that, yes, you got KSI, the internet personality and the YouTuber, but you've also got him as this guy who's a serious artist who can actually make good music. And that side of the guy who's a serious artist and makes good music has sort of essentially been lost for me since October 2022. Also, as you're watching this video, 99% of people who watch my videos are not subscribed. What are you doing? Make sure you hit subscribe. I'm not some KSI super fan who's listened to all of his songs multiple times, but up to 2022, I'd listen to at least every song of his once, at least once. So what went wrong and how was it a downfall? Well, after 2022, the serious artist side of him, who was actually being taken seriously and getting good spots on the charts, had faded, dropping a song with Oliver Tree in 2023. Now, Oliver Tree's a successful musician, but he's also pretty disliked in the internet world. People find his personality annoying. He's also been accused of stealing people's songs and basically just changing them a little and making them his own. So, not just only in the internet world, but also in the music world, Oliver Tree isn't exactly a liked guy. And since this song with KSI, I actually haven't fucking seen him anywhere. I actually don't know what this guy's doing. Is he still breathing? Can anyone check up on him? And then they dropped a tune called Voices. I don't fucking remember it. Honestly, don't remember it. I remember the music video. That's about it. Then he goes from dropping this corny ass song with Oliver Tree to dropping a decent tune with Bugsy Malone called Easy. Again, pretty sure it was a walkout song for one of his boxing fights. But in his own words, his music was all over the place. It's like he was trying to do the rap shit at the same time that he was trying to do the pop chart shit, like this tune with Oliver Tree and then going for this tune with Bugsy Malone. It's very difficult to do that. It's very difficult to do when you're spitting across genres and trying to build an audience, because you're trying to satisfy two different people. You might drop one song that people really love, and then your next song a different group of people love, but each of them hate the other side. Like, you're going to upset one group, and I just don't see really what like the plan was around this time of he's playing tennis with both genres of music and not picking one. And I started to see him get taken less and less seriously as an artist. He wasn't dropping music consistently, and I think around this time, 2023, was really when I started to see people's point that KSI, he isn't a real musician, and I don't think anything really shows that more than when he dropped The Thick of It in 2024. Yes, we have reached that point. When this song first got teased, it got teased when he was doing like a live show at a boxing fight. And unless you're like one of the 50-year-olds who watches my videos, or unless you're like living under a rock, you would have heard this song. This went so viral for all the wrong reasons, and this is where the dip starts to come back down again, because you've gone from FIFA YouTuber who makes music to serious artist, #1 album, Lil Wayne, back down to FIFA YouTuber who makes music. You know, from the screen to the ring, from the pen to the king, the corny lyrics. The internet had a lot of fun with this song, and the thing he did at the time, which seemed good, was that he was leaning into it. He was acting like it was upsetting him what people were saying about the song, when in reality he didn't give a shit.
And you said that you're not triggered and proceeded to be triggered for the rest of the thing.
Right, no, I'm fine.
And it isn't your worst song.
I'm fine.
It's not your worst song. It isn't your
What
best
do you mean
song.
it's not
The
my
song-
worst song?
It's not your worst song. Not your best song.
The reason you care so much is
what
it's
does
a
that
song.
mean? Run with it.
Stop trying to fight them and defeat
Don't
them
fight,
and
yeah.
not make it a meme, because the more you do that, the more people meme it. The bigger they make it, the more clips you give them.
Yeah, but then
more
it doesn't
ammo
help
you
when
give
you guys are to the screen, to the ring, to the king. Sing, sing, AJ, sing.
Because this is a song we're talking about which has over 100 million streams and peaked at #6 in the UK charts. But the fact is, the reason that song did so well is because it became a laughing stock. And after seeing what the internet did to that song, it's going to be very difficult for KSI to ever get taken seriously as an artist again. At that point, I'm thinking, what can this guy do? And I cannot defend him anymore. Earlier in the video, I was sort of riding his dick a bit, because I do think that people were hating on KSI's music a bit too much. You know, back in 2020, 2021, when he was consistently getting top 5 songs, getting in radio, I was walking into JD and I was just hearing his music and I was thinking, holy shit, this is the guy that people are saying isn't a serious artist. Thick of It dropped and I was like, okay, I'm gonna close my mouth now. I'm gonna shut my mouth up. You can fucking take away everything I said in the past 10 minutes of this video, because what was the point? Because everything you've done in music has been completely forgotten. Most people know you as the guy who made Thick of It. You're no longer the guy who made the song with Lil Wayne, or the guy who made the decent song with Nathan Dorr, Craig David, whoever, the guy who got the #1 album. You're the guy who made the thick of it. I'm in the thick of it. Everybody knows. You are in the thick of it, unfortunately, when it comes to your music at this point. But then I was thinking, this is KSI. This is a guy who will somehow turn a negative into a positive. And so after Thick of It dropped in October, wasn't really anything going on in music apart from everyone taking the piss out of his song. Then in December of that year, he drops this tune called Dirty. Now this song Dirty got leaked a long time before it came out, because it was rumored that Billie Eilish was the feature on the song. And so everyone was like, holy shit, he's actually made a song with Billie Eilish. Turns out it wasn't Billie Eilish. It was actually a singer from Finland called Erika Sorola. But because people did think it was Billie Eilish, it was perfect for marketing, you know. All they had to do was stay silent. As long as they didn't try and claim it was Billie Eilish, they'll let the internet do that. And that's what the internet were doing. But again, it looked like he redeemed himself. The guy who made Thick of It had come back and made an actually good song, but unfortunately the fake Billie Eilish feature and the fake promo wasn't enough to get people's mind away from the thick of it. And since then, when you think of KSI's music, all you really think about is Thick of It. And so for the start of 2025, once again, radio silence on most of his music until May, where he drops these 2 songs, Catch Me If You Can and So Far Away. So Far Away on 500,000 streams and Catch Me If You Can on just over 1 million. I should mention Dirty peaked at number 31 in the UK charts, but Catch Me If You Can and So Far Away did not chart at all. Now, apart from that Bugsy Malone song, which I'm probably sure a lot of people haven't heard because there wasn't that much promo around it, this was the first KSI song that came out and didn't chart. But after he dropped Dirty, this solid song, he'd gone back to this corny style of music that everyone would just been clowning him on for Thick of It. This is the chorus. $1 million smile shit, baby, that's the brand. Go and ask your mom, yeah, she know who I am. And this, along with some of the promo videos that he was doing for it, it looks like he's trying to play into this like corny character of being like a corny rapper. I feel like there was some salvation that, okay, people could take him seriously as a rapper again. But this transition into like sort of being like a laughing stock corny rapper, for me personally, as someone who was open to actually listening to his music when it dropped, I'm not gonna like add it to the playlist and have it on repeat, but I'll still go and listen to the song. It's got to the point now where if you're caught listening to to a KSI song, you're gonna get kicked off the Orcs. A lot of people say even if you were caught playing KSI on the Orcs back then, like, you're getting booted off, which like, I get it, I understand it, I agree. Back in 2020, 2021, he was playing festivals, having tens of thousands of people singing his lyrics. But now, after this sort of like past year in music, I think it's going to be very difficult for KSI to ever get taken seriously as an artist ever again, which is fine, do you know what I mean? The guy's a multi-millionaire who's got his drinks in every fucking corner shop in the country. Like, I don't need to sit here and lick his ass and tell you all how much he's achieved, because everyone knows. But along with that, he had like a successful music career, and it was one of his passions. And I was like, it's good to see a YouTuber actually making decent music that people are fucking with to an extent. The festivals and the streams, like, I was happy to see it, because I stand by it. I think even if someone's a content creator, if they end up making good music, like, let them make good music, because good music's good music. I don't care really who makes it. When I think about what's next, I don't know what's next. And I don't really care for it. I don't think I'll really be going out my way to listen to a new KSI song ever again. This weird rebrand of going from a guy who was getting taken seriously to being this new, like, corny guy who doesn't care about embarrassing himself or becoming a meme worked for the thick of it, but he's clearly tried to do it again for Catch Me If You Can, and it's just completely flopped. And so he essentially sacrificed his whole music career in the mainstream for becoming a meme. So what do I think will happen in the future? To be honest, I genuinely don't know. KSI is the kind of guy who will drop a song in a few months that's actually really good, and I'll be here eating my own words saying, what was I talking about? Like, it really wouldn't surprise me if he gets a big collab and he's back in the charts in the top 5. But I just find it really hard to see that ever happening again. Unfortunately, he was never going to be someone who was, like, really respected in music. But the numbers don't lie, the streams don't lie. And I'm not going to sit here and act like his music career is completely over. No, this guy could drop music for the next 5 years, and I'm sure a lot of his songs will do well. But what I'm talking about is the majority of the audience who were possibly open to listening to his music. Me personally, I just can't really see that happening again, where I'm gonna go and listen to a KSI song. I wasn't sat here like looking forward to the drops before they came out, but I'd give him a listen. Like, he was even performing at the Capital Summertime Ball again this summer, but that isn't really a platform where all these really respected artists go. When you're a respected popping artist, you get the festival bookings, you don't get the Capital Summertime Ball. The Capital Summertime Ball is a family day out. They're people who might know a few of your big tunes, but they're not people who are going to be listening to your music on repeat. And so the story of the video is really that roller coaster of how this guy who was a FIFA YouTuber made a transition into a #1 album selling rapper, musician, back to sort of being this guy who is a YouTuber who makes songs that are a bit of a laugh, and he's happy to get the piss taken out of him a bit. And I just think it's going to be very hard for him to get back from this point and up again, where you've got people who listen to the thick of it, who are open to listening to KSI's next music. And I think the most recent songs that dropped, being some of the worst performing ones he's ever done, is really evidence of that, because I feel like the only people who are really going to be listening to his music anymore are people who are actual fans of his, like ride or die fans. But hey, I could be wrong, so you guys let me know.